All right, so this is another example, and this is kind of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing a lot of word problems. So it says a telephone company offers the following plan: $20 per month. That buys 60 minutes. Okay, so $20, you get 60 minutes. And then if you go above, it says additional time costs 40 cents per minute. So again, they're giving you the equation right now, but today we're going to work on getting those equations. So as always, when we're talking about word problems, we want to be talking about what our variables are going to represent. Okay, so since it does say per minute here, that means our x is going to be the number of minutes. Or in this case, they did t. Again, remember, usually if there's like the per or something like that, that's your input. Because what's going to come before that is your slope. So c of t is just your cost then. So we have defined our variables. All right, so it costs us $20. So that's why this is 20 here. Anywhere from 0 to 60 minutes are being used. So that's that first statement there. Here you go. And then if we use above 60 minutes, we're still getting charged that $20, and then we're charged 40 cents for each additional minute after that. So if I use 80 minutes, I'm only getting charged 40 cents for how many of those minutes? 20 of those minutes. So notice it's the $20 that I get plus the 0.40. And to make sure I'm only getting charged for 20 of those minutes, I have to take my number of minutes and subtract the 60 from it. Don't be looking off of her paper. I see you. Here you are. So that's how we got that one. And again, if t is greater than 60 is our answer here. So if we're looking at this problem, c of 40, if I use 40 minutes, 40 is between 0 and 60, that means our bill would be $20. If we were at 80 minutes, that means we're using the bottom equation and putting 80 in for the t. And so it'd be 20 plus 0.40 and then 80 minus 60. And then we can go ahead and subtract that. So 0.4 times 20 is going to be what? So, and then 8 plus 20 is 28. So if you used 80 minutes, it would cost you $28. And so this is what the graph would look like. Notice it's flat at $20 from 0 to 60. And then it has that slope of 0.4 for the rest of the way. Okay, so if I want to use the graph, 40, C of 40 is right here. That's saying 20. And C of 80 right here. It's about 28, a little lower than 30. Okay, so you're going to try doing this problem. It is similar. It's $50 per month. That buys you 400 minutes. And then additional time costs you 30 cents per minute. X is number of minutes. And then your f of x would be your cost. So again, when you make your own piecewise function, you're always going to say whatever your output is. In this case, we said f of x, and then you make your braces. And then your first one, if I'm using between 0 and 400, it's a certain cost. If I use more than 400, it's another cost. So if you are stuck, what I would do is start with the if and say, all right, well, if I'm using up to 400 minutes, then it's one cost. So you can write your if part first over here. Say, all right, if I use between 0 and 400, including 0 and 400, then my price is how much? 50. So all you're doing is 50. You don't have to put an X with it because as long as you're in that 0 to 50 range, you're charged $50 no matter what. But again, you have to have that if after it. Now, if we use more than 50, or if we use more than 400 minutes, so I can say if x is greater than 400, then we're still being charged that $50, and we get charged 30 cents a minute above that for every minute we use. So 50 plus, I'm getting charged 30 cents per minute, so that's my slope, and it's 35 cents, sorry, yeah, 30 cents for every minute we use above the 400. So I'm taking my x and subtracting 400 from it. And again, the reason I'm doing that is because if I use 450 minutes, I'm only getting charged the 30 cents for those 50 minutes that were above the 400. Okay? So that's kind of be what we're looking at today. We're going to be looking at these word problems like this and how we can create piecewise functions for them. All right, so this is something that is going to get turned in, and I'm going to do one more with you guys. So we're going to do number 3 together. And again, this is something that will get turned in. You'll have today to work on it, and then you'll also have part of tomorrow. The other part of what we're going to do tomorrow is once you're finished turning this in, then you'll be able to work on your quiz review. Our quiz is going to be on Tuesday. Remember, we only have a half day on Friday. Okay? All right, so number 3. What? Third quarter. All right. Number 3 says you have a summer job that pays time and a half for overtime. That means if you work more than 40 hours in a week, your hourly wage for the extra hours is 1.5 times your normal rate of $12 per hour. And you're trying to find your weekly earnings. Okay, so f of x, the output is the weekly earnings. So that's what it's telling us we're trying to find. And so then our x is our independent variable. So what does our earnings depend on? Good, the number of hours. So then we can go ahead and write our f of x equals, we can make our brace. And then again, we always want to kind of find our domain that's going to split between our two or three or four different equations. What is the number of hours that's going to split our equations? Josh? All right, so if I'm below 40, 0 to 40, including 0 and 40, I'm going to be at 1 rate. And if I'm above 40, then I'm going to be at another rate. Okay, now we just need to put our equation there. So if we are between 0 and 40, we make how much money? $12 per hour. So I have 12, and I multiply that by number of hours. Number of hours is represented by x. So 12x is our equation for our earnings if we work between 0 and 40 hours. So if I worked for 20 hours, I do 12 times 20. Now, if we work more than 40 hours, we get paid for our 40 hours at the $12 a rate, $12 an hour. So what would be 12 times 40? It's 12 times 4. 48. If I add, so 12 times 40 is 480. So 480 is coming from the fact that I worked 40 hours at $12 an hour, and now everything above the 40 hours, I'm going to be making time and a half. So it's 1.5 times my $12 rate. 18. Making $18 an hour. 1.5 times 12 is 18, because what's half of 12? 6, and I add the 12, so that's how I'm getting 18. So 18, close. I'm not doing 18x because if it was 18x, then I'm saying I'd be making, I could, I'm putting in like, if I put 45 in, that'd be saying I'd be getting the 480 plus 18 times the 45 hours I'm working. I'm getting paid the $18 for everything above the 40 hours I'm working. So what needs to be in the parentheses here? X minus 40. So that way if I worked 45 hours, 45 goes in here, I subtract the 40, and I get paid the $18 times the 5 hours that I worked above the 40 hours. Okay, so that would be our piecewise function for that one.